Um, Hello, everybody. So this is my second part of the recording on the Russia-Ukraine situation. So today is 12th of October, and after the last video that I made, probably you guys already know about the situation, about the war situation. So we're not going to sort of talk about any political issues here. So my only reason for recording these videos are mainly to describe the economic situation. So if you want to sort of take if you want to have an understanding of, what is happening at, worldwide, economically. So basically, you can say that, in one sense, there has been a regime change in economic systems and policies, usually the kind of governance or government that we have been used to seeing, after the Second World War, which was some sort of a big government at one point in time, when the government was intervening in the market and having a thought that they have the capacity to change the outcome by taking policies. And then as a counter-revolution to that sort of governance, the government that we have seen in the, from the early 80s is that a very minimum government, the government that doesn't intervene, it's a hands-off, So basically, which means that we have been seeing a government which is not prone to spending a lot in the economy. So basically keeping the budgets intact, budgets in place, only doing the required expenditures, not getting into sort of development or things like making sort of business environment, okay, leaving everything to the market, and doing only the essential investments that is necessary. Okay, so from that small government regime, after now at this moment, following the COVID pandemic crisis, and then the war, okay, now the situation has reversed. And then now what we see, that there is an existence of a big government. First of all, there was a big investment or big spending due to COVID. There was COVID because of making the funding the lockdowns, huge unemployment benefits, and then making the vaccine and enrolling the vaccines towards like almost so billions of people around the world. So this is costly, and then that rollout and also the resulting economic sort of breakdown, you can say, in the sense that the activities were coming down. So that's why there was a huge spending for the government, and we know that all central banks all around the world, they took like expansionary monetary policies. They reduced the interest rate, and then the government from the treasuries, they spent a lot of money. And right at the time when things were looking somewhat nice, that okay, fine, now the government can go back to its previous schedule, and then business will pick up, and then this Russian and Ukraine conflict started. So now these governments who were supposed to now cut down on spending, then they again have to sort of, mainly in Europe, basically, they again have to spend more, and this time their spending has grown due to this enormous energy expenditures that that is that is accruing to this economy due to this massive increase in oil and gas prices. By the way, in general, oil price is a negative thing for the consumers, okay? But for the producers of oil or gas, it is good if the prices go up. Okay? But even after that, when the prices are so high, the government has to bail out the normal customers or households in the economy so that they can balance their budget. Otherwise, basically, the budget is for most of the household, the budget is now on deficit. Okay? So I have a friend in Germany who said that say, for example, if it was a situation like this, that said 3,500 euro was enough for a normal average household, as a cost of living. So that same household, even after sort of getting some increases in benefits or here, there's some increases in income, say now the income is about 4,000 euro. Yeah? These households are still about 700 euro short per month due to these energy constraints. Okay. So we can see here it is quite natural that so this the government of these people will have to spend more. So what is happening after the COVID crisis? There was one big bout of spending, and then loose monetary policy, and then the monetary policies are tightening up everywhere, but the problem is that they still have to spend. Okay, and now if there is not a balance between spending and monetary policy, okay, then we can see a crisis like the UK sterling pound crisis, which almost the UK pound almost went at par with the US dollar, and that was because the policy of the government was not good enough, to ensure the market that that people are investors are confident about investing in UK bonds, which they call gilt. Okay, so UK gilt. Okay, and frankly speaking, these economies like the UK and even Germany, like these economies are not still out of the woods. There are lots of risky risks factors there. Okay, and one point or one risk factor that is important is that although the bond market has stabilized for now because of after the intervening of the Bank of England, there is a gap. I mean, the gap between this bid and ask price of this UK bonds, government bonds or gilts, okay, long term, and even USA and some European bonds. So it shows that the market doesn't have liquidity. So market is having a liquidity crisis. Okay, and in 2007, 2008, when the liquidity crisis started and the Lehman Brothers collapsed, okay, this kind of sort of statistics or information or economic data was showing up in the market, and at that time most people didn't understand exactly what it means. That it will escalate to a situation that there will be a global meltdown. Whereas this is not the situation that there will be a global meltdown. Okay, but there are ample indication that the markets are still not stabilized, and Credit Suisse, a very big Swiss bank, they are exposed to the problems associated with different portfolios that they're holding, and the market is slightly panicking in that stage. So why is that? Why is that all of this happening? The main reason is the regime change in the economic system. We had a small government, and now we have this, what we call this big government, the government with massive expenditures, okay, and it doesn't have enough income, all right, out of enough earnings, okay, to match up that expenditures. And where to get that extra fund from, whether they will tax or they will borrow, so, or a mixture of both. So if you want to tax people, then people have to agree, and otherwise it is politically unsustainable. On the other hand, if you borrow, okay, the market has to agree that that you can borrow from the market and with a certain creditworthiness. If the market judges you that no, you probably won't be able to. Say, for example, Credit Suisse is in scrutiny. So people or investors will judge that they won't be able to pay back, and then their bond yield will go up, and it may go up so high that that can call up on all sorts of problems, including a crisis. Okay. So just borrowing is also not that easy an option. And the third option, printing money, is not possible because the central banks have all gone into a hawkish mode. So they're increasing interest rate, tightening monetary policy. Okay. So at the moment, what we can say is that from a very small government or small government expenditure kind of system, from a system there, we're like moving into a big government, big expenditure system. The question is whether our economy has enough capacity to let us do that, to let us, run a big government. Okay, because if you don't allow to, put taxes on the rich, and or if you don't, if the market doesn't allow us to borrow, and if the central bank is, totally on a, tightening mode, increasing interest rate, then, of course, the question is, how does the government finance a big government? And if it can't, that becomes a crisis for the government, and the government can't run its machineries. And that is what we're seeing across much of the Europe. Okay. The political tension changing in government, starting in Italy, in France, in Sweden, everywhere there are issues about whether the government can actually run its machineries, or run its finance properly, and if they can't, okay, and obviously that means that people will vote out, and then vote in someone who might be a bit radical or a bit leftist, so that can create further problems. So a leftist government will want to spend even more. Okay. So that's the issue that I wanted to talk about today, about how what is the situation on ground because of this war, and how we're being affected, okay, because of this. Okay. So it's not only inflation. Okay, we are also affected by a very high interest rate in the bond market, because it can, in the end, instill some sort of a political financial crisis, leading to a political crisis, okay, and make things unstable for many governments. Yeah. Okay, so until the next video, like I'm going to stop here, and if there is any question, please leave your comments. Thank you very much.